Captain Zix-47 of the galactic commerce vessel Serenity's Edge had made many mistakes in his 3 centuries of space travel, but none quite as catastrophic as the one he was about to make. The ship's hull groaned under the relentless assault of Korthak raiders, their energy weapons carving through the reinforced plating like a hot blade through gel foam. "Sir, primary shields are down to 18%, reported Navigation Officer Vale, her crystalline voice crackling through the damaged comm system. The Altarian's typically serene demeanor had cracked, revealing the terror beneath. Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Zix-47's tentacles danced frantically across the emergency console, his species' natural dexterity, the only thing keeping them alive as systems failed around them. The Serenity's Edge carried a precious cargo of rare minerals from the Andorian belt, making them a prime target for the notorious Korthak pirates who had been plaguing this sector for months. "Engineering, status report." He barked into the comm. "Life support failing, Captain," came the strained reply from Chief Engineer Bron, a hulking Gorvanian, whose thick hide was the only reason he could still function in the toxic atmosphere now filling the lower decks. "Reactor core stability at critical levels. We have maybe 20 minutes before complete system failure." The view screen flickered, showing the massive Korthak dreadnought Blood Harvest looming alongside their crippled vessel. Its hull bristled with weapon arrays, each one capable of vaporizing a small moon. Captain Thexmore's scarred visage appeared on the communication channel, his predatory smile revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. "Surrender your cargo, Captain," the Korthak commander hissed, his voice like grinding metal. "Your pathetic civilian vessel cannot stand against the might of the Blood Harvest. Submit, and perhaps some of your crew will live to serve in our mines." Zix-47 knew the reputation of Korthak pirates. Even surrender meant death for most of his crew, and a fate worse than death for the survivors. His mind raced through their options, each one more hopeless than the last. The nearest galactic patrol station was 3 days away at maximum warp. Their distress beacon had been broadcasting for hours with no response. Then he remembered the forbidden protocols, the emergency measures that Command had installed but never expected anyone to use. Hidden in the depths of the ship's computer core lay contact information for species deemed too dangerous for standard diplomatic relations. The Deathworld Index, they called it, a list of planets whose inhabitants were considered so violent, so unpredictably aggressive, that contact was strictly forbidden except under the most dire circumstances. His primary tentacle hovered over the emergency transmission controls. Earth. Sol 3. The infamous Deathworld, whose inhabitants had somehow achieved spaceflight, despite their planet's lethal environment and their own inexplicably violent nature. The same species that had supposedly evolved from predators lived on a planet with weather patterns that would kill most civilized beings, and had actually weaponized controlled explosions for transportation. "Sir?" Val's voice cut through his hesitation. The ship shuddered again under enemy fire. Zix-47 made his choice. His tentacles slammed down on the controls, sending out a broad-spectrum distress call toward the Sol system. The message was simple: coordinates, ship identification, and a desperate plea for assistance against superior hostile forces. "What are you doing?" Val asked, her crystalline features reflecting confusion and horror as she read the transmission log. "Something very stupid," Zix-47 replied, watching the red timer count down their remaining life support. "Or very smart. I haven't decided which yet." The Korthak continued their assault, methodically dismantling the Serenity's Edge piece by piece. Thexmore seemed to be enjoying the slow destruction, savoring their helplessness. Zix-47 could only watch and wait, wondering if his desperate gambit would pay off or if he had simply doomed his crew to an even worse fate. 27 minutes later, something impossible happened. The space around them rippled, distorting like water disturbed by a falling stone. Reality seemed to fold in on itself before snapping back into focus, revealing a vessel that defied every principle of known physics. It was sleek, where galactic ships were bulbous, angular where they were curved, and radiated a subtle menace that made Zix-47's skin crawl. "Unknown vessel," came a voice over the communication channel, speaking heavily accented, but understandable galactic standard. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force vessel Retribution. We received your distress call. Please identify your situation." The Korthak dreadnought immediately turned its weapons toward this new arrival, energy beams lancing out toward the mysterious human ship. Zix-47 watched in fascination and growing horror as the beams simply stopped. Some kind of energy field around the human vessel absorbed the attacks effortlessly, the absorbed energy creating ripples of light across an invisible barrier. Hostile intentions confirmed. Captain Chen's voice had gone cold, professional. "All civilian vessels clear the engagement zone. This is your only warning." What followed was not a battle in any sense that Zix-47 understood. It was an execution. The human vessel moved with impossible grace, dancing between the Korthak's return fire as if the massive energy beams were moving in slow motion. Weapons emerged from hidden compartments along its hull, not the familiar energy weapons of civilized space combat, but something far more primitive and infinitely more terrifying. Projectile weapons, kinetic kill vehicles, mass accelerated to relativistic speeds and hurled at the enemy with pinpoint accuracy. The dreadnought's shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, proved useless against simple matter moving at significant fractions of light speed. The blood harvest died in 17 seconds. Its hull cracked like an egg, atmosphere venting in brilliant streams of frozen gas. Secondary explosions rippled along its length as critical systems failed in cascade. The ship that had terrorized this sector for months became nothing more than expanding debris and cooling corpses. "Civilian vessel, this is Captain Chen." The human's voice had returned to its earlier warmth, as if she hadn't just committed an act of devastating violence. "Do you require medical assistance? We have trauma teams standing by." Zix-47 stared at the debris field that had been a capital ship moments before, then at his intact crew, then at the sleek Predator floating in space beside them. His species had spent millennia building a civilization based on cooperation, diplomacy, and peaceful coexistence. He was beginning to understand why Earth was on the forbidden list. "Thank you," he managed to say, his voice barely above a whisper. We are grateful for your assistance." "Copy that. Safe travels, Captain. And remember, Earth stands ready to assist our friends in the galaxy. Always." As the human vessel vanished back into whatever impossible dimension it had emerged from, Zix-47 made a mental note to recommend immediate revision of the Deathworld Index protocols. Some mistakes, he realized, turned out to be the best decisions you never meant to make.